Welcome back to BK Nothing But Nets podcast. Full panel today to talk about the Nets' somewhat confusing trade. I was going to say blockbuster trade, but I think that might be going too far. The Nets trade for Haywood Highsmith. They give up a conditional second-round pick, and they get back a 2032 second-round pick as well. I'm joined with my co-host, as usual, Dylan, over at Nets Press, and special guest today, Pete. Nets fans, Pete, introduce yourself and tell us what you got going on.
Like Gary just said, I'm the host of Net Fans a weekly Nets podcast. I talk to beat writers. I've talked to former players, and insiders, credentialed media, all that good stuff. Yeah, you can follow me at Net Fans on YouTube and Twitter. Thanks for the intro, Gary.
Appreciate you. Why don't you start? I know you got an episode coming out on this trade. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the trade? I don't know if everyone here knows what the protections on that second round pick are. So Pete, educate us a little bit and give us your opening thoughts on that trade.
Yeah, the Nets got Haywood Highsmith, a wing from Miami, and a 2032 second rounder for a highly protected 2026 second round pick. It's top 55 protected. So basically, the Nets would have to be a powerhouse top 5 team for it to even go to Miami. So I like the trade a lot. A lot of people didn't get to see the protection and thought that we're basically giving up a pick next year for a pick all the way down the line. And I get that. But looking at the details, that changes everything for me.
You've changed my mind on the trade. I'm okay with the trade. Again, I said, I don't want to spoil your episode.
No, go ahead. It doesn't matter. You got to talk about it here.
I'm okay with it. I'm agnostic. I'm neutral on the trade. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's it's kind of like a tie to me. It's like, all right, well, But let me get Dylan. Dylan, give me your thoughts on the trade. Your initial reaction on this trade.
You're muted, Dylan.
Oh, yep, muted. That's the first time I've done that in a while.
I'll do 3 times at least today.
No, I mean it was interesting to see just because again we're still all waiting on Cam Thomas. We're all trying to figure out how they're going to condense the roster to 15 players. So to add another player is definitely of a surprise. Do I think it's a bad trade? By all means, no. I actually think it's a very good trade. Being able to obtain a $5.6 million expiring contract, a guy that's not going to impact the game of winning, being able to get an unprotected second round pick in the near future. I think that's a solid return for a top 55 protected pick. Like Pete said, you pretty much have to be in the Eastern Conference semifinals to lose that pick. And I'd like to think that's not going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind the trade. I don't know if I like the trade. I don't know if Highsmith is going to be flipped and utilized in a separate deal to create a roster spot. If he's going to be bought out, it doesn't really phase me what happens with him. So overall, solid move. You're able to get an unprotected second, and either you're buying him out, you're trading him, or you're getting an expiring contract this upcoming season.
I want to. Before we get into how it affects our roster and salary and everything like that, just kind of, Dylan, tell us about Highsmith, the player. What do you see him as a player, his strengths, his weaknesses, kind of dissect, briefly, elevator pitch on the player, just the basketball player. What kind of player is he? What can Net fans expect if he does suit up for the Nets this year?
Yeah, he's your typical Miami Heat. Some guy that you'd never heard of that ended up being developed and excelled in that system. I don't expect him to be half the player that he was in Miami, just because most people that leave Miami never end up doing too well, right? You've seen, you saw Caleb Martin leave Miami, who had an absolute miracle run against the Celtics one year, a couple of years back, and now is bouncing from team to team, not really looking like anything special. I think Highsmith could be a really good locker room guy. I'm not a big fan of, or I shouldn't say I'm not a big fan of, but I just don't really care about having veterans in the locker room and stuff of that nature like some people do. Simply just because the only thing I care about this year is a top 3 pick. So, he doesn't affect the game of winning like that when he's not on a contending team, and I don't see that changing being on now a rebuilding team. So, I like the player, solid player, but nothing special here.
I kind of agree. I don't think I've seen a lot in the Twitter sphere that he's a trash player. I don't agree with that. I think he's going to make some contributions on defense. I think he can really create havoc. I think he can create turnovers, get easy transition points. He's a cutter. He's kind of a high energy, high active player. I don't think he's a bad player. But yeah, ultimately, are we a top 5 team in the NBA or a top 5 team in the East even because we have Haywood Highsmith? Of course not. He's a guy that's been around, but he hasn't gotten a ton of minutes. He's been around 4 or 5 years. He's been a stay on Miami, but he doesn't play a ton of minutes. Pete, give me your thoughts on the best Haywood Highsmith, the basketball player. What do we expect out of him?
A 3-and-D type of player. He's 28 years old. Last year, 74 games, 24 minutes a game, 6 points, 45 from the field, 38% from 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and almost a steal a game. I think he could be a rotational piece for the Nets. I really do. And let's face it, the shooting right now on this team is very, very subpar. So if you're going to add someone who shot 38% from 3, playing 20 minutes a game, that's pretty good because the Nets are going to need any spacing that they could get. And let's face it, Jordy loves his dogs. The guy's going to be great on defense if he can recover from the knee surgery. That's my take, man. Not too much here, but I do find it interesting how they could use him to possibly get a second-round pick later, like at the deadline, like Dylan was talking about.
Let's move to that. I think he's a quality player. He's not obviously going to start for a playoff team, but I do think that he could find himself rotational minutes on a playoff team, which means
he was on a finals team, Gary.
That's right? What I'm saying. Yeah, and he got sub minutes. Again, he's not playing a ton, and I said he's a high energy guy who's going to go out there. He's going to create havoc for a few minutes and then come sit down on the bench again. But there's a role for that. So before I get to why my issues with the trade, we'll start with, can you trade him? I know he's got a little knee injury. He should be ready to go early in the season. Is it 8 to 10 weeks? We would put him in October, which hopefully he's ready to go for the season. If he's healthy and he's going, is he a tradable piece? As we said, the contract's not bad. The contract's not really going to get in the way. Is he tradable, Pete?
If he's going to play, then I would assume so. Dylan made a point that you see these Heat players go to other teams and they're just not the same guy. That's a very possible thing, right? That's a very possible thing. But if we've seen anything from the Nets, they like to squeeze out every asset they can. I would not be shocked to see him playing. He's a vet on a finals team even though the role was small. I could see the Nets saying there's something you could learn from a player like that. That's as hard-nosed as him. If I had to take a bet, I think they wind up trading him. I think you wind up getting like a second rounder in 2030, somewhere down the line. Not a major asset, but not nothing.
I'm gonna put the same question to you, Dylan. If he plays and he produces like he produces in Miami, who dumped him, is he a tradable piece? Could they move him at the deadline or during the season for a second round pick?
Yeah, I mean, if they were to keep him into this season and move him at the deadline, I can 100% see him being traded in a package with somebody else. He's on an expiring contract. You have guys on this team who are also on expiring contracts if they are able to make the final roster. It's definitely something that could be done. Do I see him being traded because he's on an expiring contract? If he enters the season, no. If he is traded before the season begins, I could see that happening. But as of getting traded at the deadline, I don't think that they would move off of a free $5.7 million that you're going to be getting 3-4 months down the line.
Fair enough. It's a fair point. I want to take a look at his position, his role on the Nets. Let me ask you this. Is he better or worse, or comp him to Ziaire? Dylan, who's a better basketball player?
I would definitely say he's a step down from Ziaire just because of his age, because of his recent injury, just because of the overall play style. It's very similar in play style, I would say, but Ziaire just has that youth and fluidity to his game so far that showcases an actual NBA role player. Highsmith again with that knee injury, there's definitely going to be a concern on him and what type of minutes he can play when he comes back. So I mean, as of right now, where things currently stand, I just have Highsmith as a reserve, a guy that's probably not going to crack your 10-man rotation, but a guy that's there when injuries happen, when inconsistencies happen, when you need a veteran in the game at some point. I think that's kind of going to be his role for this upcoming season.
Pete, give me your thoughts. Is he a better, worse, comparable, same, and different player to Ziaire?
Man, we recorded a podcast for my show right before this, and I said I thought Highsmith is a better player. And man, I don't know. Maybe I'm having second thoughts. I look at the numbers. The numbers look good, but then I do a deep dive, and I'm seeing he only averaged like 3-point shots a game. You know what I mean? Like, I like the 3-point percentage, but I don't know. I like that he could add 3 rebounds a game. It looks like he does a lot. I'm not the most knowledgeable on him.
Defensively, he's very good.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. I just think, man, if I'm comparing to him and Ziaire, very similar in style, like Dylan said. Man, I'm tough. I don't know. I really don't know. I think maybe I think you guys convinced me that Zaire's a little better. But last point of this, like Dylan said, it's really about the injury. It was a meniscus tear in his right knee. That could really sap up like all of his.
That's a serious injury, though, isn't it, Pete? I mean, a meniscus injury. That's a little microsurgery. That's easy to fix, isn't it?
Like it depends who the person is. Sometimes they come back, but if you're a guy like Highsmith, who's hard nosed, very running
Plays
around
with
everywhere,
athleticism.
yeah. Do you really not do you want a surgery like that? But I don't know if that's the best look. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really roll the dice how he does it rehab, and really how the Nets use him.
The one thing that I will say that makes sense about this trade is the fact that Ziaire is still unofficially signed, right? And there's been rumors about, because him and Dayron are unofficially signed, whether or not one of them could be traded here in the near future to clear up a roster spot. So, I mean, if you're looking to dump a 2-year contract for another expiring contract, it makes sense as to why you picked up Haywood. He does something similar to what Ziaire does, and he's also going to give you some free money next offseason. So, I mean, I would keep an eye on that. I put out some proposals here a little while ago about certain things that I would do. I know that we may or may not be getting into that today, so I'll gatekeep that for a little bit. But there's definitely a world where Zaire's not on this team, which kind of sucks because I was actually really excited about him last season when we got him. I was really excited about what he was able to do throughout the season. But the Nets are in a really rough spot of cutting this roster down to 15. And it's gonna be a struggle for them moving forward.
Gary, let me make one comment on that. That's something that I wanted to hit on. What's interesting, the most interesting thing for me about this trade is that you have those two guys unsigned and they made this trade, and I think they have
similar money.
I gotta run, guys. I'll be right back.
No worries.
All right.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a feeling I know what he was going into there, but Haywood Highsmith makes the same exact amount of money that Ziaire is making this upcoming season, I believe.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think Highsmith is at 5.6. I think Zaire's at 5.7. So
it was basically the same money. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Yeah, Zaire's 5.7 over the next 2 years. Same for Dayron. Highsmith is. Did they already switch him over? Oh, they already switched him over. Hold on. Highsmith is 5.6. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was confident. I was saying who. My other question there is, when looking for a roster spot and minutes, like who's going to be on the roster? We're at a, we don't have any more roster spots to give them, so someone else has got to go. Keon Johnson. Who cracks the rotation first? Who would get that last roster spot between him and Keon Johnson?
Sorry, who is it between Keon and who?
I'm saying Highsmith or Keon. Who would you rather have on the roster, and who would you rather give rotational minutes to?
Who would I personally rather have on the roster? Probably Haywood Highsmith. I think wing depth is always something of importance, and I also think Haywood Highsmith is a good mentor to guys like Drake Powell and Dariq Whitehead, both similar in size, similar in play style. Um, both of which have way more upside than him, by the way. But just a guy that has a veteran presence that's been on a winning team that has that comes from a winning culture in Miami. I definitely think that would be good for those two guys, especially with Dariq. You need to figure out whether or not this year he's a guy they're going to be keeping long term or not. He's heading into year 3 of his rookie contract, so it's definitely time to figure out whether or not he's going to be a rotational piece for you moving forward or not. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you're so guard heavy. Who cares? I put out the post yesterday about what I would do if I was the Nets, and one of the things that I said that I would do is I would just release Keon Johnson to create a roster spot. And I got people in my comments genuinely saying, why would you release Keon Johnson? It's because 28 out of 30 teams probably wouldn't even have him as a top 11 player on their rotation. Who gives a shit about guys that are not that good? I hate to be that guy, but some
No, tell
people,
us what you really think, Dylan. Don't hold back.
I think Keon's a very solid player, but my God, when you have people genuinely coming to you complaining about moving on from a guy who can't be on a rotational team, and when I say rotational, I mean 1 through 11 players coming as a starter or off the bench, 11 guys that play on an NBA team, 28 teams would not utilize Keon Johnson. So some people really just need to put the whole 1-year wonder, we suck, I'm getting attached to bad players thing. You got to put this shit to the side. It is so despicable to see how often it happens. It's bad.
Yeah, but my thing was, look, I have that kind of man crush on D'Lo. D'Lo was an all-star the 1 year I fell in love with him, right? Keon Johnson was really bad. Really bad. I don't understand why people like him. I understand because he plays for our team. But you guys understand, Keon Johnson, Jalen Wilson, Tyrese Martin are not NBA players, right? You guys are aware of that. They're not good. They don't have a spot on NBA rotations. I need y'all to understand that by losing Keon Johnson, you lose nothing. Not to disparage Keon Johnson, but you lose nothing. So, yeah. So here's I want to parlay that into this. If he gets a roster spot, who then loses that roster spot? You're saying Keon Johnson, correct? That Keon Johnson no longer is going to be on this team. His deal is obviously not guaranteed.
Yeah, I would say if there's just 3 people that make sense to release for roster spot purposes, if you're not going to be making trades, I would say 4 people. It would be all 4 of the guys that you accept the team options with. Drew Timme, Keon Johnson, Tyrese Martin, and Jalen Wilson. I think those 4 could definitely be guys that are moved off of. I think 2 of them are definitely moved off of. I think a third one would be traded here in the near future to create a roster spot. And I do think one of them makes the roster. But at the end of the day, if you really just want to make this as simplistic as possible, get rid of all 4 of them.
I think that's, yeah. I mean, there's going to have to be a lot of heads that roll here. There's a lot of guys on the chopping block, and I guess the non-guaranteed guys are going to go. Are we going to – do any of those non-guaranteed guys – I mean, I've kind of poisoned the well here with my thoughts, but do any of those non-guaranteed guys you just mentioned, do any of them have any value to an NBA roster? Or
No.
They're just guys – no.
The only one that I would say maybe has some value is Jalen Wilson, just because, again, he's a Kansas product. He played all 4 years there. He does have national championship experience, and that type of mold in the NBA does usually work for teams that are contending. Now, again, will he be one of the first 9 guys off the fucking bench? Probably not. Or just overall on the team? Probably not. But can he be that 10th, 11th man that comes in when an injury happens and keeps the team afloat with those bench minutes? Sure. I don't think that he is, the most impactful guy, but in the right system with the right coaching staff, with the right, style of play, I think that he could be a decent rotational piece on any team in the league. So I think Jalen Wilson's the one guy that would probably have value. And for that reason, you'd probably have to add him in a package with somebody else. So I don't want to kind of spoil what I have going on, but say the Nets don't keep Cam Thomas, right? And you need to trade him, right? Throw Jalen Wilson into that package to clear a roster spot, So things of that nature.
The other issue I have with this trade is that if I said 1 to 10, your 10 best players are going to, get rotational minutes here. And the rest, we'll figure out the positions and the lineups, but my top 10 guys are getting on the court. Highsmith is one of those top 10 guys to me. So that means he's now going to take minutes away from Whitehead or Clowney or someone else. I don't need to see 28, 29, who's turning 29, Haywood Highsmith anymore. I know what he is, and I know he doesn't have a role here long term. So why is he getting any minutes over, say, Whitehead or Drake Powell? Why is he taking even 1 minute from those guys when he has no long-term path on this team?
I mean, I personally don't think that they're going to utilize. Now, could he be splitting minutes at the start of the season with Drake Powell off the bench? Maybe. But again, I view the Highsmith move as a reserve piece, as a salary filler, as a salary dump when the time comes, whether that be through trade before the season begins, or if it means just riding out his contract and, hopefully just getting that free $5.6 million in the offseason next year. I don't see anything bigger with that. Do I see him playing more than 5 minutes a night? Probably not.
If he's going to split minutes with Drake Powell, why? I'd rather just give Drake Powell all the minutes.
No, I would 100% agree. I think it's more so just the mixture of having a veteran presence, one, and then two, also having somebody to mentor Powell, right? So like a guy that, say Powell's on the floor and he's making a couple of mistakes. Okay, Highsmith, go in, show him how it's done. Powell, come back in, do what he's doing. Like that type of thing. I don't think that this is something that Highsmith is your full-time 8th, 9th man off the bench.
I disagree with that. I think that, he's going to get him on the court. Jordy's going to love his energy, and he's going to play 18 minutes a game. I do.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally don't see it, but Jordy's also a psychopath. So
that's what I'm saying. Jordy's going to love his energy, right? Jordy's going to love him.
Potentially, you got to see how he comes back from that knee injury, though. It's a meniscus. It's not the worst knee injury in the world, but for a guy whose game is based on defense and athleticism, he could be limited to just being a spot up 3-point shooter now. So who knows? I mean, he did that at a 38.2% clip, so he's definitely above league average in terms of the 3-ball.
Yeah, I was surprised when I looked at his stats. I was surprised he shot the 3-ball as well as he did. I didn't know he was 38.2%.
Yeah, he's mainly just a 3-point shooter. Not like a great one. He's not a well-known one, but his field goal percentage is at 45%. But that's also because he just mainly takes threes. That was the system that he was in. He sat in the corner. He sat at the wing, and he spot up shots. So,
So not to go off tangent, he plays Mikal Bridges' playoff role better than Mikal Bridges, correct? I'm not trying to go off tangent, but he's a better defender.
I still can't. I don't like Mikal Bridges, but I can't get by that he's a bad player. I still can't do it.
You know how you look at Cam Thomas and you say, "So what? I can replace this. I can replace this with something I can find in the vending machine." That's how I feel about Bridges. I'm not trying to go off tangent. If I took Haywood Highsmith, he would do the role that Bridges did in the playoffs better than Bridges did. He'd shoot the 3-ball better, and he's a better defender. I don't understand Mikal Bridges. I don't get it.
Sure. I mean, if you could replace 16, 17 points a game with a guy that averages 8, sure.
Give him 40 minutes a game, like Tibbs did. If you give him 40 minutes a game and play him well, 16 points a game when you're playing as many minutes as Bridges did, which is probably more minutes than anyone in the league, it's not that great. 16 points in a 3-point league, 16's not that much when you're playing that many minutes.
Sure. I can't keep having the Mikal debate. I never wanted him here. I wanted him gone immediately when we got him. Glad he's gone.
I see what you did to me, Dylan. You got me like 3 he's better 3-point shooter, better defender than Bridges. I don't understand Bridges. Now I've totally lost my train of thought. We're talking. I think he's going to get minutes here. I think Jordy's going to love him. And to me, this is why it was my hesitation towards the trades. Now he's going to take minutes away from other people. And whether or not that does, whether or not he's playing 18 minutes a game like I think he's going to once we get cooking in the season, is something we will find out. But how does it ultimately affect the roster? You're just thinking another one of those guys are going to be gone, correct? Or another one of those non-guaranteed guys I'm talking about, whether it be Wilson or whoever.
Sorry, repeat that because it cut out a little bit.
Yeah, how does this affect the roster? It's just one more non-guaranteed guy that's going to be out of a job, whether it be Wilson or Martin or whoever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see, like I said, I don't see 3 of those guys being on the team. The guys that we brought back on those team options. It didn't make sense why you brought him back. It doesn't make sense why they're still here. It doesn't make sense why they should be on the roster when the season starts. The only one that I would like to see on this team moving forward is Drew Timme, just because I think you have a little bit more of a need to have a guy who can come in, play the 4, play the 5, if somebody goes down, or if you just need a change in who's out there. So I think Timme is the guy that deserves it right now. Now, in terms of who overall should have won that spot, it probably is Keon. But again, you have Jaeger, you have potentially Cam Thomas if he comes back, you have Drake Powell, you have Dariq Whitehead, you have Ben Seraph, you have Nolan Traore. You really don't need more guards. So to me, I think Keon is expendable as to why you should probably just look to get rid of him.
I want to address this real quick. Gary, who you got winning today, the Jets or the Giants? Oh, it's preseason football, so most certainly the Jets. Jets, baby. All right. So I want to transition. I know that you put together something. I'll pull it up. What the Nets should do if Nets Press was the GM, which I'm all in favor of. If Nets Press was the GM, what should the rest of the offseason look like? I want to get to it. Let me pull it up. But while I'm doing that, real quick, and I do want to spend some time on the schedule, but I don't think we're going to get to that today. Your thoughts on the home opener, Charlotte? Right away, we play another decent team. I think we're going to get a look at how much more talented those playing teams are than we are. But what are your thoughts on playing Charlotte the first game of the season?
I'm excited. I'm in South Carolina now, so I'm actually going to most likely be at the game. It is the only time that they play in Charlotte this year, so the second time I hopefully go to see them this year may be in Atlanta. But I'm definitely excited to see what goes on there. I think it is going to be a much rougher start than people expect. Charlotte's going to be coming into this season fully healthy. LaMelo, Con Kmeppel, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges. They have a really nice foundation over there. So I mean, I'm expecting a loss, but I'm also expecting a fun first look at some of these young guys. So I'll hopefully be there. But yeah, those first 10 games are rough.
I might look into going to the game. You want to go to the game?
I'm down. I mean, I gotta figure out when tickets become. I mean, tickets just became available, but some of the prices just suck. So I'm kind of hoping that it slows down a bit before I get anything.
Oh yeah, as we get closer. Yeah, as it gets closer, let's take a look at it. But
definitely,
I didn't realize it was. Oh, I thought they played there twice. This is the only time they played there this year. I'll go. I'll fly in.
Yeah, I was so upset. I was like, damn, I was hoping to see him twice this year in Charlotte. So this way, it's only like an hour and 45-minute drive. But no, they only play once. I was like, damn, that sucks.
Okay, I just kind of I've been busy. I've kind of just perused the schedule. I haven't really done a deep dive into it because the Nets, they're going to lose all their games anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what day you lose, as long as you lose, which I think they're going to do plenty of.
I agree.
Where is this? Why am I not? Is this it right here?
Oh no, that's the. Oh yes, no, that's the pinned one. Here, go back. It's going to be the second row, bottom left. I believe should be.
Second row. Oh, here it is. Is it Cam Thomas?
Yep.
All right.
Here we go. Can't wait to hear the complaints. Let's do it. So this is my personal what I would do if I am the Nets at this current point in time. You have to understand that
all acknowledge that Dylan is a better GM than Sean Marks. So even if you don't love Dylan, it's still better than the alternative. Can we all agree on that?
No, because I'm trading away half of this fan base's, golden boy over here. So, so click the next slide. The first thing that I have going on is, listen, both sides clearly do not view each other as a long-term fit. It's obvious. It's blatant. The Nets haven't since the moment they drafted him, and Cam Thomas is clearly showcasing that with what he wants to be paid. I don't care if you believe the reports. I don't care if you think he's worth it. I don't care if you think he's not worth it. At the end of the day, I think that it is in the best interest of both players, whether that be Cam Thomas's long-term development or the Nets' long-term future. I think it's just the smart thing to do at this point in time with how far off in negotiations they are, just to move on. And again, I've been saying this for a while. Cam Thomas has not played up to par to where you can receive a star caliber package for him. It doesn't make sense for anybody looking into him. It doesn't make sense for the Nets to be asking for it. So I think that this is by far the best case scenario that you could get. You get a guy that's matching up with Michael Porter Jr.'s 2-year contract, which would free up 63 million in 2027, which again, if you use your fingers to type on Google rather than type in comments, you'll understand why having cap space in the 2027 offseason is a major need. There's over 40 high caliber players. I believe there's about 10 to 15 different stars that could be available in free agency in 2027.
Good player is a free agent. It's kind of like the 2019.
Yep.
It's kind of like that. Every good player is a free agent.
Exactly. And that's exactly why you need to have the max amount of cap space available for that offseason. So you get Kyle Kuzma, who sucks. He's not going to help you win games. He's not a good player. Whether you keep him for the 2 years, you move him when he's an expiring deal, you move him at this year's deadline, whatever it may be, you're at least getting a guy that matches up with Michael Porter Jr.'s contract. And you're also getting 2 of the most valuable first-round picks in basketball at this point in time, right? 2031 swap, 2032 unprotected. These are 2 picks that will likely be in the top 10, knowing that Giannis is either A, going to be too old to compete, or B, isn't going to be on the Bucks. So I think that this is by far the smartest move that you can make. Just for Cam Thomas's future, I think playing alongside Giannis and Miles Turner could be really good for him. Secondary scorer on a contending team, on a team that also has great defenders, right? Miles Turner and Giannis being able to cover when Cam Thomas allows somebody to blow by him, that's something that could work for you. So I think that this is just, it makes a ton of sense. You throw Jalen Wilson into this just to create that extra roster spot. You move on from one of these guys. So that already drops it down to 1 available roster spot. So the next move that I have, if you want to click on the next slide, is a 3-team deal. It's between Miami and Charlotte. Again, it's very simplistic. Nick Claxton and Ziaire Williams. Again, Ziaire, I don't want to see him go. I do not want to trade Ziaire, but at the end of the day, with how this roster is currently constructed, there needs to be guys that are moved on from, right? So to me, Nick Claxton and Ziaire heading to Charlotte, that helps them make that, high-end play-in push, if not playoff push. I believe I have, Miami getting Grant Williams, Josh Green, and a couple of seconds, 1 from Charlotte, 1 from us. And then the Nets would be getting Terry Rozier, who we would be buying out, Tajon Saloon, so a nice young developmental piece, a 6'8", 6'9" wing that can play the 3 and the 4. He's also going into, I believe, his 2nd year, if I'm not mistaken, if not 3rd year. And you would also be getting 2 first-round picks, 1 lottery protected from Miami to take on the Terry Rozier contract, and 1 top 2 protected from Dallas that's also coming from Charlotte. That would be for Nick Claxton. So overall, I think that that's a very realistic deal as to what you could see as a return for a guy like Nick Claxton, especially if it's coming from a team like Charlotte.
Let me just bring I don't object to either trade.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of object to like all the trades together, because now like we're bringing in too many picks again, and Sean Marks doesn't like to, package his picks together and trade up. He likes to sit and pick. We're gonna have, you know what I'm saying? Like at a certain
well, at some point you can't do that, right? Especially when you have.
We said that when he had 5 in this draft, and he sat there and took 5 overdrafted 5 guys. I mean,
well, though we have to remember too, what has been the main talking point and goal that I personally have mentioned that's also been kind of leaked by numerous people such as Brian Lewis. What has been the main goal of the Nets?
Well,
rebuild for the next 2 years,
right, and then
go all in 2027, right? When this would put us, I believe, at 4, if not 5, 2027 first-round picks. You can't draft 11, 12 players within 3 years. You physically can't contain the roster flexibility to do that.
That's my problem with the culmination of all these trades. I don't have a problem with any trade individually, but like Sean Marks is not a very active GM. I think he kind of sleeps through draft day. He's like, okay, this is the guy I want. All right, he's there. Great, let's take him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think he's going to actively try to combine 3 picks and trade up? I feel like he's going to sit and pick. Like,
it's not even so much to trade up. These same questions have been brought up with OKC for almost a decade. You know what I mean? Like OKC figures it out every year. They'd have to figure it out.
Sam Presti, Sean Marks. Sam Presti, Sean Marks. You know what I'm saying?
Completely agree. But you can't physically draft like 12 players within 3 years. It's physically impossible for your team.
When you told me that it's a rumor that the Nets are going to pick 5 times today, Dylan, I laughed. I said, "Yeah, imagine that." And then they did, right? It's never been done before in the history of the NBA. It's never. In all the drafts we've ever had, 75 years, no team ever did what the Nets just did. Like,
yeah, and I want to answer Mark here because, again, Giannis and Cam Thomas share an agent. To do a sign and trade, you have to do a minimum of a 3-year deal. If you are able to lock in Cam Thomas at 14, 15 million for a 3-year deal, you're going to give that up. Not to mention, they also have no other assets. They don't have a first-round pick that they own. They don't have second-round picks. They don't have anything in terms of young player that the Nets would want in return. So to take on Kuzma's contract alone, it would cost a first-round pick. Plus the fact that Cam Thomas is worth a singular first-round pick. That's exactly why I have a swap and an unprotected first in there. If they're serious about trying to keep Giannis there for an extra year to 2 to 3 years, that's the way to do it. You need to give him a secondary scoring option similar to what Dame was providing. Cam Thomas as a secondary scorer next to 2 top-tier defenders in Giannis and Miles Turner would likely keep him at a consistent 24 to 26 a game.
All right. You want me to go ahead. You want me to get to the next one here?
Yeah, go for it. I think the next ones are just. Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, okay. I like this.
Yeah, so this is just the final two-way spot. It is available. I think that this is by far the most intriguing guy that we have that could be able to take that spot. 6'10", 6'11", guy that can play the 4, guy that can play the 5, stretches the floor. When you look up his efficiencies in the Chinese league, he's very similar to what I absolutely loved about Rasheer Fleming coming out of St. Joe's this year in the draft. So to me, this is the guy that you would want to take a chance on. Absolutely.
Give us a little assessment, break him down as a player, pros, cons, where he is in his development. Can he come in and contribute? Or is he going to be mostly in Long Island? Give us kind of the breakdown on as the best.
Yeah, I would think that he's mainly in Long Island. He comes in when the inevitable Noah Clowney injury happens at some point this season, or Dayron injury, like whatever it may be. So to me, this is a guy that you just kind of bring in, try and develop, see what you can get out of him, and see if you can find him any form of NBA minutes when the time comes. In terms of injuries to a big, injuries to a 4, I think that he could definitely step in and have some form of NBA minutes.
We didn't mention step 3. Did we cut Martin, Keon, and buy out Rozier? Did we?
Oh, go to the next 2 slides.
Okay.
So yeah, there's the buyout of Terry Rozier that opens up a roster spot. You also have to remember you traded Jalen Wilson in the Cam Thomas deal, so that also opened up a roster spot. So that's now 2 spots. And if you click on the next slide, you'll also see that I am releasing Tyrese Martin. And if you also click on the next slide, you'll also see that I'm releasing Keon Johnson. So that opens up 4 total roster spots. That drops it down to 15. Don't worry, man. I can do this in my sleep.
Yeah, it's so fitting.
Yeah, no, I can do this in my sleep. This GM stuff is not hard, And then if you click on the next slide, you'll see the 15-man roster that I created. In order is how I would play them. So the starting 5 would be Yaegor Demon, Terrence Mann, Kyle Kuzma, Michael Porter Jr., and Dayron Sharpe. And then off the bench, I can't see it just because I have an HP computer that provides absolutely no HD whatsoever. So I'm going to go to my Instagram. The bench I would have is Nolan Troyer at the 1, Drake Powell at the 2, Dariq Whitehead at the 3, Tejan Saloon at the 4, and Noah Clowney at the 5, with your reserve 5 players being Haywood Highsmith, Ricky Council, Drew Timme, Danny Wolf, and Ben Seraph. That also allows you to put Wolf and Seraph in the G League for a while to develop them. Again, when a guy gets hurt, or if you just feel that you want somebody on your bench in case, that's when you bring them back up. But that'll at least give them the ability to develop in the G League a bit more.
I'll be honest. I'm looking at it. Like, I don't have a problem with any of the trades you made. God dang, is this roster horrible, bro? Yes. Holy hell, is this bad. Look at this. Oh, my God. Yo, if this is what we went to war with, 14 wins, this is so bad. Again, maybe that's what you want. But I'm looking at it. Oh, my God.
It's not even about the losses, because, again, the losses are going to come with how that bench looks, right? It's more so just to develop the youth.
That went 12-70. That's how bad this is. Like this is a crime in Italy. My mom is telling me, baby, in Sicily you go to jail for this. Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, it's a rough team, but it's at least the foundation to build up some of your youth by developing them, right? It gives guys like Nolan Troyer, Dariq Whitehead, Drake Powell, Tejan Saloon, Yaegor Demon, that would give them the necessary minutes to try and develop, right? I think that that's the smart way to do it. I think that you need to give these young guys NBA minutes to make mistakes in their first year to develop their games and be in situations where they have to play up to par. And I think that that's exactly what you need from your guys that are this young.
No, I agree with you. And that's why I don't really call it last year was a tanking year. We didn't really have any rookies. This year, it's not a tanking year. It's just a year where you suck and you're going to lose a bunch of games. But we're gonna play all of these guys a ton of minutes. We're going to play the rookies. We're going to play Ben Surratt. Ben Surratt's the worst player we've ever seen. Well, he's going to get to prove it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to play all this. It's not tanking. Just you suck. We're going to play our rookies. We're going to try to develop these guys. And then that's why it's not a tanking year to me. That's why this year's actually more exciting than last year, even though we're probably worse this year than we were last year. The year's still more exciting because it's a developmental year where you actually get to see these guys. Now, I don't think it's going to go particularly well for Surratt and Wolf. Drake Powell, I think, is going to be what he is. And so really, to me, it comes down to, the first two guys we took, which is Troy and Yegor. Really, I think we're going to play. If it were me, I would play Surratt a bunch of minutes and say he sucks. And the same thing for Wolf. I'm going to play him a ton of minutes. He sucks too. Okay, at least we know that now. And we can try again next year too. We can play more minutes next year where they're also going to suck. But they're going to get their opportunity. And when you look at this roster, it's so bad. Why would you not play these guys as well as Powell and White had a ton of minutes? I mean, what difference does it make, right? This roster is kind of perfect. We're trying to get the number one pick in the draft type of roster, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, the entire point of getting these picks back is to land the highest level of prospects possible. That's not. I still can't grasp how some people don't understand this. Like you're not walking into a season where you just traded a premium for your picks back to be a good team. You're not. Nobody with a logical mindset believes that truly. Now, does the fandom in us want to say we want to see our team win? Of course, but in the reality, this is the last year that you can really go out there and tank. It's the last year where you can really say that you own your own pick, because in 2027 you don't. In 2028 you don't know how good the class is going to be or whether it's worth it or not. And you also have teams in the East who are starting to die out, right? Boston's starting to slow down with the Tatum Achilles and some of the roster construction they've built around them. Indiana, Halliburton just tore his Achilles. You never know how a guy like that's going to come back and play. Cleveland, they're above the second apron. They're going to be in a world of trouble here in the next couple of years where they're going to have to move on from some players, right? Milwaukee, getting older. Orlando, up and coming. They'll be a team that's up there for a while. Detroit, they haven't really made a significant move to showcase that they're serious about contending. Who knows what ends up happening there within the next 3 years if they're able to even, try and get a secondary star for a guy like Cade. Atlanta, Trae Young contract extension issues. Who knows if he's going to be there long term? Like, there's really no top 5 teams in the East that you can say in 3-4 years from now is going to be still in that top 5 outside of Orlando, right? And I think that that's really showing you why the Nets need to take the rebuild portion of this seriously. It's a 2-year rebuild. For people who are complaining about a 2-year rebuild, go be a Detroit Pistons, go be a Washington Wizards, go be a Utah Jazz fan. These are teams that had to rebuild for 5-6 years and still aren't doing shit. There's a difference between rebuilding with a market and a team that understands the actual rebuild portion of it versus a team that understands that they're just trying to get as many upside prospects as possible and continuously fail after fail after fail. Like, this is a 2-year rebuild and then a 1-year reevaluation to see what the team does, right? If the team looks like it's a potential play-in team, that's when in 2027 you go out, you trade for a star, you sign a star, you build something that could be a playoff team. But you don't rush this process. You don't take your time with the process. You do it at the pace of which it's needed. And at this point, this year, you're still looking to tank and bottom out for a top-tier pick.
But it's really the last year we can do it because we obviously don't own our 27 pick. So it's got to get real good real quick, and it's not gonna, right? So I understand. Like, look, I don't even consider this year a tanking year for the reason I was saying. It's just we're really bad. There's no tanking. It's not like you're gonna pull these guys. You're not gonna pretend that DFS and these guys have injuries. If this is if this hypothetical roster is what we went with, and they all played 82 games, this team wins 18 games. Right? It's so bad. This is one of the worst rosters I've ever seen in my life. Yes, and then so we take this roster and we go to 26, 27, and it's marginally better, but we're still, we're still looking at the future. But then we don't own our pick that year. So what was it all for? You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying?
And I'm gonna answer this question one more time, just because people truly do need to take the time to stop commenting and go to Google and do the information yourself. This is the 2027 offseason in terms of free agency. I'm going to go by unrestricted first, and then I'm going to go by guys who can opt out of their deals. Unrestricted: Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, James Harden, Jordan Poole, Tyler Hero, Isaiah Hartenstein, Andrew Wiggins, RJ Barrett, Draymond Green, Miles Bridges, DeMar DeRozan, Cam Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Dylan Brooks, Keldon Johnson, Klay Thompson, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Lou Dort, Max Strus, Karis LeVert, Josh Green, Austin Reeves, Grant Williams. And there's still more. In terms of guys who have a player option and can opt out: Anthony Davis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns, Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, Brandon Ingram, Kyrie Irving, Rudy Gobert, Jalen Green, Drew Holiday, Julius Randle, Jeremiah Grant, DeJounte Murray, Malik Monk, Grayson Allen, Bobby Portis, Damian Lillard. In terms of team options or restricted free agents, you have Michael Porter Jr., you have Josh Hart, Santi Aldama, Isaiah Stewart, Zachariah Richeche, who will likely be extended, and then some of those other rookies. Isaiah Joe is also on here as well. So you have guys, and I didn't even get into unrestricted guys like Aaron Nesmith, Lonzo Ball, Derek Jones, etc. This is the free agency class that you want to have the maximum cap space with, and you ask the question of, okay, well, who are we trading for? Okay, well, nobody knows because it's 2-3 years down the line, but you also have to understand that there are certain teams who are showcasing signs of either A, being in financial cap issues with the second apron, or B, just flat out won't be able to contend with the players that they have. Those could consist of Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards. You don't know who's going to be available in 2 years from now, but those are the types of guys that you could potentially see. And with the capital that we have, with some of the youth that we have, that can kickstart a rebuild for any team very easily. So it's not about who's available, because nobody's available today. It just matters about having the ability to do so when the time comes. 2027 is the year that you go all in. It's not difficult to understand.
Oh, LBL's here. Okay. What up, LBL?
Hey, what's going on?
You sitting there for a minute. I didn't even see you were there. Have you been there for a minute?
Nah, I just landed here, man.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so free agents,
First
huh?
off, give me your thoughts on this roster. Let's say hypothetically this roster that Dylan built, which I consider one of the worst rosters I've ever seen, if not the worst. I mean, this is bad. What are your thoughts on this hypothetical roster?
Well, you know I don't want to see Keon go.
This is Exhibit A as to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, but you know, hey, I mean, I don't worry about stuff like that. See, the thing that I think some basketball fans have to get used to is do what's best for your team. Don't worry about the player. I'm sure it's making more money than you'll ever see in your lifetime. So just be a fan from them. Moving on, like Keon will catch on or not, and that's it.
But that's what I'm saying. Everyone's heartbroken over a guy who you say may catch on or may not. And most likely it's going to be the latter. Like, why are you upset about
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just that's what I'm saying. Just because you like how people play or something, but the bigger thing is still the team. So when it comes to the team, you do what's best for the team. And I knew what's his name was only due 88K, right? Before the break. Jalen Williams, right? So he's gonna get cut because that just makes makes financial sense,
To answer another comment here, Anthony Edwards is 24 years old. He'll be 27. Devin Booker's 28. He'll be 31. Again, when you're a contending team and when you're looking to go all in, guys between the ages of 27 and 32 is how you win championships now. So again, what's the complaints?
You know what, Dylan? Since you mentioned that, and what's up, Pete? And since you mentioned that, this is the thing that I get caught up with Nets fans so much. It's like there definitely is more to my tanking and stuff. Like, I do want to tank. I do want to grow our players and stuff like that. But the way that guys it's like ever since that thing happened with the Durant and Kyrie and stuff, it's like we just become like, pimps up, hoes down. It's like, yo, let's just get this guy. Let's just sign this guy for
Yo, Gary,
60
check your
million.
phone.
Let's get this guy, but it's like, why do we want all of these freaking mercenary guys? I don't want all these mercenary guys.
Let me ask you, help me out, right? What is it that you do want, right? Like, I don't know. I wanted a good player that we can build around. Like, there's a bunch of free agents in 2027, so maybe we can sign one for sure. Like, the Knicks got Randall. That's not exactly who they wanted. They wanted Kyrie and KD. They didn't get that big. They still got a good player in Randall, which they were able to build a playoff team around, right? And then once they got good, they traded Randall. I'm looking at this, right? And, like, unless we get Peterson, right, or the Bansa and Dylan Boozer too. What the hell do we have that's going to attract someone other than cap space, right? If it's just cap space, maybe we can get a guy, but we're not going to get the best guy on the list. We're going to get the Julius Randle of that draft of that free agency.
Yeah. But I'm saying, that's why I'm saying I'm all in for the tank, because you got to do whatever you can to secure one of these.
Reward tanking. We need one of these guys. The NBA
we need Hall of Fame talent.
They're not giving you a top 3 pick unless you're the Boston Celtics. They're not going to give you the pick. They're going to give someone else. Let me hear me out, and I'll let you respond. If there's 3 guys, 3 franchise-changing guys in this draft, why is the NBA going to give one of those 3 guys to the Brooklyn Nets?
The market.
I was gonna say, and I've had this. We've had this conversation.
Right? They want these guys to be relevant right away. They want, like, just like they put Cooper Flagg in a situation he could be good in right away, right, where he's going to be in the playoffs, and they put Dylan Harper in a position where he's going to be relevant right away. He's going to be in the playoffs right away. Why are they going to stick one of these top 3 guys on a team with no future, on a team that doesn't really draw, doesn't have a massive fan base?
Well, again, you
Why
can't say
does Bailey want to come to the Nets?
Gary, I'll say it first, because these guys are so good that they are your future. As soon as you get an AJ DeBonster, regardless of the roster we have now, as soon as you get AJ DeBonster, his play
at that point, you're
will
a
make
star
people
and 2
want to see
high-caliber
him.
role players away from being a playoff team.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. As soon as you get a guy like Darren Peterson, it's like the league will notice that, oh, this guy is definitely a star in the making. And that's why.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so what's better for my product? I'm the NBA. What's better for my product? Putting him on Boston, where they're, Tatum got hurt.
But we're also trying to
right away.
jinx
He'll
ourselves.
be good, and they'll compete for a championship right away.
Yeah, but we're also trying to jinx ourselves into believing that Boston's going to get a top 3 pick. Yes, if they're in the lottery, are they likely to probably get it because of how the NBA is rigged? Sure. But as of right now, they're still a play-in team with Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, and the rest of that roster. So we can't keep going with that until it actually ends up happening, right? If they start the season off 1-10, all right, then we should be concerned.
And there's room for both of us. For us tanking fiercely and getting a top 3, and then Boston tanking and still getting a top 3. There's still room for both of us.
Can I make a point here really quick, guys?
Yeah.
What do you think is better for the NBA as a whole? Having the Knicks good, Boston good, and the Nets good, or all the best players just on those 2 teams? Having stars on each team that you're able to sell, advertising rights for these national games is, that's big. Who wants to see Nets Knicks? A lot of people. That's a big rivalry. If you have one star on one team and none on the other, it's not as fun, and it doesn't draw as many people. I think it's more the league wants parity, or so they say, and that's the way to have parity. You want star players on each team as much as possible.
I don't believe
they make their money in the playoffs, and having these guys, having your stars, having DeBansa, having Cooper Flagg on teams that aren't in the playoffs doesn't help the NBA's bottom line. So we're going to put them on teams where they can make the playoffs right away, so the whole world will watch them in the playoffs.
But
I don't believe.
What's better, DeBansa on Utah and making the playoffs, or on the Nets and maybe missing the playoffs for the first 2 or 3 years, and then he winds up being a star on a team that's contending. I think they would want the New York team to have the star.
They would rather the New York team than the Utah team for sure. But if you could give me another fairly big market, Houston, Phoenix, would I rather put him there and put him in the playoffs right away?
Over New York? Over a New York market?
Well, I can put him in the playoffs right away, and I can get the whole world to watch him. I'll put him in Phoenix.
Nah, it'd still be New York.
More games
or anything like that. But if I can put him on a team that's got a decent sized market where I can advertise him and advance him through the playoffs, and the whole world's going to watch him, then have him, play on a Nets team that's going to win 25 games. I don't think the NBA is intrigued by that.
Why do you think they want players to come to New York though? Like when they leave their other teams, like a Cleveland for a Kyrie Irving going to like Boston.
In a perfect world, in a perfect world, the best teams for the NBA, if the NBA could drop, their best teams would be the Knicks, the Nets, the Bulls, the Celtics, and the Lakers. That would be their dream scenario. That takes work. Yeah, that can't be done overnight. You know what I'm saying? Like, would the NBA rather have AJ DeBanza on the Nets team that wins 25 games a year, or a smaller market team? Not okay. Market teams.
But Gary, my point is, you get an AJ DeBanza on the Nets. Maybe that first year it'll be 25, but it'll never be 25 wins again.
But I think you guys are also just missing the fact that the 2026, the Nets have cap space in 2026. If you get a top 3 pick, you can still add solid rotational pieces with that cap space.
Sure.
And the following season, let's just say that the example that I'm giving you guys here is the one that is somehow comes to fruition. You would then have Michael Porter Jr. and Kyle Kuzma giving you a free $62 to $63 million in cap space for the 2027 offseason. That's a supermax contract spot. That's a star that you can go and pursue. If you think because a team is currently not doing well, for a team that could also slightly improve if they do get a top 3 pick next year. So say this year you win 18 games, you get a top 3 pick, you get whoever. The following season, you get 29 wins, 30 wins, right? That top 3 pick of yours looks like he could be a solidified second option, if not a potential 1B, 1A, right? That's going to draw interest from a player that wants to join a team where he can A, be the guy, B, get his money, and C, have the marketability. New York offers all of that, right? It's not so hard to. It's not. You don't have to overthink it as much as we're trying to. The Nets have always been in the market for stars. Bradley Beal wanted to be here when he was leaving Washington. It was one of the teams that he requested. Damian Lillard, same thing. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, they ended up here. James Harden, he was on his. We were on his list with Philly. You know what I mean? Like, guys have wanted to be here. Guys have continued to want to be here. Guys will be here. It's not difficult to draw a market when you have the cap space and when you have the draft capital and when you have the market of New York. It's not difficult whatsoever.
The Knicks, Madison Square Garden, the center of the universe, were really bad for a long time, and the NBA didn't really do much to assist them. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, they were.
Right?
There was no incentive. There was no incentive to really do better by them because they were still doing well, at the gate.
That's true too. Like that, the Knicks, their fans, they sell out the Garden whether they're a 60-win team or an 18-win team. The Knicks fans show up and they sell and they draw, but they don't sell and draw on a national scale, right? Like the Knicks are good. Their playoff games, their meaningful games become must-watch television for everyone. And the Knicks for clicks.
Yeah,
right?
once they have a star, yeah.
The haters are going to watch, and the people who hate New York, they hate the Knicks. They want everyone in New York to fail. They're going to watch, right? It's like Floyd Mayweather. Everyone watch because you either love them or hate them, and that's kind of the way the Knicks are. Knicks for clicks, right? It's just kind of what it is.
Yeah. I think that these guys coming up, Peterson and DeBanza, I just think that they're going to be very good quickly, and I think that can change your franchise like within a year or two. I'm not saying that they're going to go into the playoffs the first year, but I'm saying by the second year, they may be in the play-in or they may be in the playoffs. And because of their style, it's not just that they're winning, but it's also, are they attractive? Because like sort of like the way Memphis was with John
Let me put
Morant.
back there a little bit. I agree with your sentiment. I think the Benson will be good right away because he's a freak, right? Peterson, I think, is probably the better prospect, but I don't think he's going to be as good at 18 years old as the Benson. He's more of a skilled guy. He's going to have to get acclimated to the game. He's not just, purely athletic, right? Like, if I said to you, who is better at their first year out of high school, Amari Stoudemire or Kobe Bryant? Stoudemire was probably better, right?
Yeah.
Who was the better basketball player? You know what I'm saying? Like, Kobe wasn't going to make the team a lot better year one, where Stoudemire did. Kobe was, that's kind of the way I compare the two guys. If you want to be good,
But you know what?
That's going to have the better career. It's probably Peterson.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you mentioned them, because we're also talking about styles of play too, because you can be productive, but it doesn't mean that you're a box office. You know what I mean? Whereas you could be really good, because I think a lot of people around here, they don't remember like Brandon Jennings when he first came into the league. When he first came into the league, even though it was with Milwaukee, it was like, wow, this dude is like scoring 30 a game, or this guy is dropping a lot. And, and it was more or less his style of play, and the league didn't catch up to him yet. And so therefore, whatever. But I'm saying, but in terms of when it's like that, when it's your style of play, sometimes that's infectious. And sometimes it's not a matter of you just being solid. It's the way that you play the game and that's what I'm saying. Look at John Morant. When he came to Memphis, it wasn't so much that he's going to make Memphis a winning team. It was a matter of you can't take your eyes off of the TV when this guy is dribbling the ball.
Him and Zion both came in the same year, and those two guys were my two favorite guys to watch. I was watching so much Grizzly and so much Pelican basketball for one reason: those two guys, right? Like, look at this. I get what you're saying, and that's a fair point. I want to bring Pete in real quick here. Pete, this hypothetical roster that it's up on the screen. I can read it off to you if you need me to. That Dylan put together. To me, this is one of the worst rosters ever constructed. It is what it is. Makes my eyes bleed. I want to cry having to watch this. But what are your thoughts on this? On what Dylan constructed here? I think and then we got 3 or 4 more first round picks, right? A pick swap, and then.
Doesn't say if you want to go back to the trades first to see how the roster was constructed.
I'm watching. I can see it's on the screen, right?
Yeah, I'll just.
It's a whole slide on Instagram.
Release and buy out our garbage. We're Fang Bozang. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Yeah. And then we're trading Claxton and Ziaire. We're getting Rozier, who we're buying out. Saloon. And then we're getting a 2027 first. And then another protected pick. And then we're trading Cam Thomas for Kyle Kuzma, a first round pick, and a pick swap. So we're getting Kuzma and Saloon. And then we're trading Cam Thomas, Ziaire, and Claxton.
So you're basically tearing down the teardown.
Pretty much. and you know what it is? Because, like, again, when you're looking at how the roster is currently being built, how the future of the Nets is trying to be looked at, Claxton has only digressed. There's realistically no need for him here in Brooklyn anymore. We all like him for the most part. We may not like his contract, but I would say in his tenure in Brooklyn, a lot of us have liked him, me being one of them. But at this point, he's digressing. He's showcased that he really can't be any better than what he is. And what he is a guy that should be an anchor down low on a contending team or a team that's making a push for the playoffs. With Charlotte not having a starting big man this year, they have Diabet and Mason Plumlee. They need a starting big man badly. And I think his age fits the timeline of guys like LaMelo and what they're trying to build over there. So I think Charlotte and Nick Claxton makes a ton of sense. But as for Cam Thomas, again, I mentioned it before, when you have blatant signs that both sides just do not want to be with one another, whether that be Cam Thomas not wanting to be here financially on the restriction that they're trying to put him on, or if it's the Nets, since the day that he was drafted, really not utilizing him to what they probably should have been. It just makes sense for both sides to part ways at this point if you're not going to come to something mutual. Qualifying offer shouldn't even be on the table. It should not be something that they look to do. It's a lose-lose for both sides. I just don't see him being here long term like some people do.
Well, what's your starting lineup? And then after that, I'll tell you my opinion.
It's right here. I'll read off.
The starting lineup's in order. It's in the bigger font, and then the bench is in order from left to bottom right.
Do you want me just to read it off?
Go ahead. Yeah, I can see it, but go ahead, read it off.
Go ahead.
Demon, Mann, Kuzma, Porter Jr., and Dayron. That's interesting, starting Dayron at center. And I'm looking at the bench. Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be one of the worst rosters I've ever seen.
Definitely.
It would be tough. But listen, like you said, the goal is to get one of these guys next year in the draft. So I would be all for it, man. I really would.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think the thing, too, is that if you're going to bet on youth and take 5 guys, you need to properly develop these guys, right? Guys like Noah Clowney, Dariq Whitehead, Drake Powell, Nolan Traore, Jaeger, these guys all need serious minutes to be able to see what they can actually be. Dariq has really never played in the NBA, right? Clowney has not been able to stay healthy. You got to see what these guys are worth to see if they're worth moving on from or keeping here long term, because these guys are heading into year 3. This is kind of that time frame where you see whether or not you're going to extend them or if you're going to trade them, right?
You know what I like?
5 guys.
Dylan, you know what I like about your roster that you made that I wish the Nets would do? It's a good balance of veterans and young guys. Like, obviously, we want the young guys to play, but I'm a big believer in having that Trevor Booker, you know what I mean? Like Reggie Evans, like that veteran that's going to help the young guys along and that could learn from. You know what I mean?
See, I'm not big on veteran presence, simply just because
I feel like we have plenty of veterans here. We got
So here's the thing, right? I'm not big on vets just because vets result in wins. These vets that I put together do not result in wins, right? You got Terrence Mann, who's a career, and that I'm fine with. But when you throw in the Cam Johnsons and the Schroeders and the DFSs who actually impact the game of winning, that's when it pisses me off. These guys, though, Kuzma, garbage. Terrence Mann, sub 10 point per game guy. Michael Porter Jr., who knows what he's going to be like not playing next to Jokic. Like that, I can live with. You know what I mean?
I got your leading scorer.
Exactly.
It definitely will be Kyle Kuzma.
I'm saying MPJ.
I was on Porter. I mean, guys, this is so bad. I imagine having to watch this 82 nights.
Kyle Kuzma will play with the aggression and the assertiveness that he thinks he's got Michael Porter's talent. So,
hey, if it's Kyle Kuzma versus Michael Porter Jr. at half court to see who takes the shot, by all means do it, because it just results in more losses. I'm fine with it. Do it for one more year. I don't care how it's done. I don't care how bad it is. Just get it done so I never have to cheer for losing ever again, or at least for the remainder of the decade.
But really, what I don't like about it is just a personal preferences. I feel like I'd rather have Agor at the 3 and have Traore started.
I can see that. I definitely understand that. But I think the main problem is that Kuzma can't play the 2, right? And the NBA is politics at the end of the day. Well, meaning the NBA is politics, right? It's the same thing with baseball. If a guy gets paid more, you're going to play, you know? So to me, this is just the most realistic if this was to happen.
I agree with you. Like, I would rather do that too. I want to play the rookies as much as possible. Like, I also want to see, When he sucks, we can just get rid of him, right? Like,
I also want to see Traore run the bench unit. Yeah, I also want to see Traore run the bench unit at point guard. I also want to see Jaeger run the point guard spot as a starter. You know, like I want to see what these 2 primary ball handlers can do with the ball in their hands. In terms of playmaking, in terms of shot creation. So I think that this gives them both freedoms to do so.
This would definitely be the sink or swim for Dayron. Because
I kind of feel like we know what Dayron is. Yes, he's
starting. You know what? I really don't.
Center. Like, that's what
saying. I really don't know what he is. I have a feeling that a lot of Nets fans think he's better than he really is. To me, I don't think
per 36 minutes say otherwise. And again,
that's what I'm saying. That per 36, they look at all of those things and they look at the rebounding, and I'm saying, well, then prove it. Prove it on.
Here's my thing, right? If they run,
let me say one thing here, Gary.
Let me just say one point. We've talked into Andre Drummond before. You know who else has spectacular, like extraordinary per 36 numbers? Andre Drummond. Are you ever actually going to play him 36 minutes a game? Are you going to play him? You know what I'm saying? Like those days are long gone.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Pete. What do you want to say?
I think it's depending, like how are you viewing him, right? Do you view him as a starter? Because I view him as like a backup who could be really good because he does like rebound at an egregious rate, right? You know that you're going to get that. I think it's depending where you put him in what role. Some people see him as a starter, and I would disagree, and that's what I would say about LBL's comment.
And with that, Pete, I'm thinking with Sharp, has he ever had that role for the entire season healthy? Because I'm saying I don't even know if he's a legitimate backup too, because I haven't seen him from the beginning of the year all the way through play that role.
Fair.
The thing with Day'Ron is if you can get him on the floor for 30 minutes a night and he gives you 12 and 12, that's already an upgrade.
But maybe he's like
turnovers, but he'll get 12 and 12. He will.
But maybe he's like Isaac. Maybe he's like Jonathan Isaac, I'm sorry.
Isaac's not a big.
No, I meant JJJ. Maybe he's like him, where you really can't get him on the floor that much because he just fouls too much. That's part of the game. That's part of the game. Learning how to stay on the. But I'm saying that's part of the game. Learning how to stay on the floor.
Well, I just don't think he's a guy that you're going to play starters minutes. I think I view him the same way that I view Andre Drummond and Steven Adams at this point, or Mitchell Robinson even, right? Like you can't play Mitchell Robinson 35 minutes a game.
But you know what? But you know what? To me, Andre Drummond was a legitimate starter who you could play 30.
Then he was with Detroit when he was 20 years old. He was phenomenal. He was like 15 and 15. He was great. The game's changed a lot since then.
Yeah, the game. It's like the game has changed around his style of play. But if you still wanted that effectiveness from him, you could get it.
Yeah, but like, who is Andre Drummond guarding? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a problem.
Well, real quickly, Breeze just jumped on. I want to get his thoughts. Breeze, what's going on, bro?
Just happy to be here, man. You guys got a great show, man. What's going on? What thoughts on what specifically?
The overall thing that I've created here. I know that you're a
what happens
so you're not gonna like it, but what would your
what happens to number 24?
Me personally, I want him to take the deal. I think the Bucks win that trade personally. I don't see it. You know what I mean? I don't think Kyle Kuzma is a serious guy. Like,
well, he's not meant to be.
Yeah, I just I think the Bucks win that trade. I don't see how we win it. But just the whole player development, focusing on that. Yeah, the only thing I really wanted to add to what I was saying was, just me looking at what the Nets did to get to the finals in Jersey, they were number one on defense. So when we talking about all of the personnel, I just kind of want us to implement the idea that we should be looking for defensive personnel. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where the spell success for the Nets. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's me generally saying that. I don't know if that's like Gary just said. That was then, this is now. But I do think that for the most part, the fan base has been focused on the offensive side of the ball. But I just think that we need to, pay a little more attention to what defensive personnel that we could acquire. That's all.
So the one thing that I want to add here, and again, I'm a sports fan in many aspects, right? Football, basketball, baseball, whatever it may be. I'll compare it with football. I'm a Steelers fan. In 2009, the last time the Steelers won a championship, they had the best defense in the league. The Steelers this past season had a top 5 defense in the league. They lost in the wild card game. Sports change. In the NFL today, you're not going to a Super Bowl unless if you're averaging over 28 points per game. Steelers haven't done that in over 10 years, right? So point being is basketball changes as well. Yes, did the Nets make a finals 2 decades ago at the start of a decade when they had a great defense and the NBA's league average was probably about 93, 94 points per game? Sure. But when you have a system now where it's not about just offense or just defense. You need guys who can do both. You need guys who can do it at a superstar level on both ends of the floor. The Jason Tatums, right? The Jokic's, the Kevin Durant's, all of these guys have 2 superstar aspects to their game, if not more, right? Jokic, rebounding, playmaking, scoring. Tatum, scoring, rebounding, defense, right? These are the things that you need to look for now. So when we're talking about the offensive side of things, I think there are a few people who, yes, will probably just be solely looking at the points per game, which is another reason why I just don't value certain players as much as others do. But in terms of what I'm looking at, Debant's the 6'9", 6'10" wing that could score from all 3 levels of the floor and a high-intensity defender. That's 2 potential star aspects to his game that he could bring to the NBA. Boozer, elite rebounder, elite playmaker, 3-level scorer. Great for an NBA two-way guy. Darren Peterson, 6'5", athletic, 3-level scorer, high-intensity defender. 2-3 things that he could bring to the NBA at an elite level. So those are the types of guys that you need to add. You got to stop looking at just defense and just offense, because neither of those things win a championship. You need to have both at an elite level to do so.
Nah, of course, but more of the conversation been the offensive side of the ball. Even when we talking about the rookies, I did a stream the other day. I was saying, yo, you got to hold them accountable too. Y'all saying all of this and that about Cam Thomas, but what about these rookies and them being developed as defenders in their rookie season? Everybody, we got this and that. I got a lot of pushback, but I think that should be part of their accountability too. Player developing them to be perimeter defenders. That's where we were weak at. When you look at
in Traore and Powell, I think those are the 2 guys that are going to be the better defenders of this draft class. I don't think Ziaire is going to be a great defender. Can he be solid? Sure. I mean, he's 6'8", 6'9". He should be okay as a defender, right? Wolf, 50-50 on just because he looked weak in summer league. Who knows what he's going to look like on an NBA floor? And Seraph, I just have no hope for as a whole, so I don't really care. But Traore has already showcased very good defensive abilities on the perimeter. I think that he's our potential Andrew Nembhard. Powell showcased incredible defensive abilities in college. He reminds me a lot of Herb Jones. So I think they got their 2 defenders. Yeah, do you need more? Sure, but it's a 1 season at a time thing as of right now.
Yeah, no. If we could get 2 out of 5 first rounders that great at perimeter defense, or not even great, but good and working towards being great, I think it's a win for Sean Marks. You know what I'm saying? I honestly don't think Sean Marks has to hit on all 5 picks. But if he could hit out of 3 out of 5, or maybe 4 out of 5, we win.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
What do you mean by hit? Right? Like, what do you mean by hit? Like, he's an NBA player. He's a starter.
Yeah,
full-time.
Okay, like the Rick Whitehead is to me. The Rick Whitehead is a miss. So I know he went to Duke and he was highly scouted from what he did in high school and he missed a bunch of games. But from what I've seen from when he got to the NBA till now, he's a miss. You missed on that pick.
Let me jump into that for a second.
Is a miss? I mean, a hit, like a starter, an all-star, a role piece. What exactly is a hit?
A hit, I would say, like Noah Clowney. Somebody that got developed in that first year in the G League and then came up and showed, strides of potential.
Yeah. So let me jump in here for a second, though, because
I don't see no potential with Derek Whitehead. But Noah Clowney, yes.
let me jump in here for a second, because this isn't even about a Duke thing. I personally didn't really watch that year for Duke with Derek there, just because I was doing a bunch of other shit. But this is a guy who was injured his first season, who requested to stay in the G League to get back to full strength and develop his game. He's barely played in the NBA. How can we say that this is a mess? If we're saying Derek Whitehead is a mess, then what makes us say that a guy like Cam Thomas isn't a mess? Because he's going into year 5. Well, hold on, because he's going into year 5 of his career, and he has not developed a second aspect to his game. So can you consider that a miss because he hasn't developed in the sense that most players should? Because I think that the Derek thing is an unfair stamp on him.
He's saying he doesn't see, and he's just like you're saying you don't see anything in Seraph, right? Like, you can't call Seraph a miss here, but you're looking at Seraph and be like, oh, hell no, right?
I'm looking at Seraph as the least likely to be good on this one. That's just based on
I'm not.
That's not based on fact, though. You know what I mean? Like when we're coming in saying that Derek Whitehead is a bust,
I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm not saying I don't even say I necessarily agree with Breezy. I'm just thinking that's the way, and I'll let you answer for yourself in just a minute, Breezy. First off, this thing where he wanted to play in the G League, That pisses me off more than anything on the face of the earth. You should want to play in the NBA against the best competition on earth. You were the number one player in the world, the number one player in the country in high school, and you're a first round pick. Get your ass in the NBA. Stop being a little bitch, right? It's like when fighters say, "I don't want to take a step up." Well, that's too bad, right? You're gonna test yourself. I don't like that. You guys like, not all of you, but some of y'all are like, "Oh, he wants to develop something in the G League." He's being paid millions of dollars. Go put your skills against the best players in the world and see how you fare. I didn't like that. That is a very negative thing to me. I know that
for a guy coming off of the injuries that he's come off of, it makes sense. If he came off of a toe sprain, then
we will tell you. If we don't think you're ready, then we will tell you to go play in the G League. I want your mindset to be, I'm ready to go play 48 minutes today against the best players in the world. I'm 20 years old. I was the number one player in high school. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. If you're not, we will tell you to go to the G League. We'll make that call.
Yeah, you're gonna tell a player how he feels?
No. I'm just, if that's his mentality, like, I'm on a scouting trip right now. The first thing I look for in a fighter is, does he love to fight? If he doesn't love to fight, I want nothing to do with him. I don't care how good he is. I don't care about his skills. If he doesn't love to fight, if he did not want to walk from the fight and be in the pocket and fight, I don't have any use for him. Do I always want him in the pocket in the exchange? No, but he has to love to fight. What Dariq Whitehead is telling me is, I don't want to put my skills up against the best players in the world.
But Gary, wait, again, can I say something right here with this? Let's say you're scouting me, right? I'm a boxer, right? And there's a fight coming up, and I know that I'm not 100%. Would I want to be on that stage?
We will make the assessment on that. You have it. We will make the assessment on that.
But what makes us think that they didn't?
I don't know.
What makes us think that they didn't walk into a meeting and say, this is an idea that we have for you. What do you think about it? And he says, oh, okay, I actually like that because I don't feel that I'm fully ready just yet.
That could be. And
because we still don't know the full extent of those. We're never going to know the full extent of conversations that go on back, behind closed doors. So to put the automatic assumption that it's, oh, I'm scared to play and I don't feel ready and I would prefer to look great here rather than fight here, that's again, it's an unfair label on somebody that we're not sure if that's the truth.
But you know what? You know what's the most interesting thing? They didn't send him to summer league. He said he wanted to play in summer league, and they told him to stay in Brooklyn to work out. I think that's something we should talk about. Obviously, you want the rookies to get time, but
that's a good point.
Well, why wouldn't you send him there anyway? I still think you could find minutes rather than someone we never heard of. You want Dariq to at least get some work, right?
I got the answer.
I was going to say, I think the comments are missing why I compared Cam Thomas and Dariq, guys. I'm not saying Dariq is the level of Cam Thomas. I'm just comparing the simplicity of one guy's entering year 3 and has barely played in the NBA. The other is entering year 5, has played a year and a half in the NBA, and still only has one aspect to his game that matches the label of a starting caliber player in basketball. That's the comparison. It's not the player. So please, I know Cam Thomas stands. Calm down.
all I'm gonna say is, maybe they didn't let him. Maybe he wanted to play in the summer league, and the Nets said no because you'll make our draft picks end up looking bad if you're the best guy.
That's hilarious. You're hilarious.
I think it's just simplistic. It's wanting to see all these rookies play high minutes.
I don't.
Can you imagine if he looked? Can you imagine if Whitehead played and looked better than all of our rookies? Can you?
I would expect a guy that's entering his third year at 21 years old. Yeah, I would hope that.
Yeah, but
that's like Alex Sarr looking better than Bub Terrence or
no, but you know what? Dylan, there's a chance that if he had played and he just looked like the normal Dariq Whitehead that we've seen, but he was better than those guys, we would be all over this thing. Like, he got these bums. Why did he draft these bums? What's going on? He can't even freaking play a guy that's a marginal NBA player.
That's not really true, because realistically, Alex Sarr is heading into his, second or third year? He was in Summer League this year. He's playing next to Trey Johnson. Sarr and Carrington look levels ahead of Trey Johnson.
Oh, no, I meant on our team.
No, I know. I'm comparing another team, though, that had a guy that was heading into year 2 or year 3 and looked better than their rookie. Yeah, you're supposed to look better than the guy who's just coming into the league compared to the guy who's been in the league for a full season or 2 full seasons. That's how that works. I don't. If somebody's getting upset if Derek was to have played in summer league and it would have looked a level ahead of all of our rookies, if you're mad at that, you're an idiot. It's just that simple. It's that simple.
Well, but it also depends whether he really looked good or they just looked worse. You know what I mean?
I guess. I mean, again, you can't base a guy's career off of 4 summer league games, no matter who the player is. Lonzo Ball looked
Is that
great, and Lonzo
is
Ball looked
Breezy
horrible in
still
one and
here?
looked great in the others. Like
Is
Ronnie
that
looked
is
in.
that
Yeah,
what-
I'm still here.
yeah, that's making me think that's what hooked up so many people with Cam. That great summer league that he had, and it's like, well,
It's
now you
true.
got Nets fans for life.
Yeah, look at
No, it's true.
Dylan
It's
Harper, for
true.
example. He
It's
shot
true.
12.5% from 3 in summer league, and you don't hear people saying that he's done. Like, summer league is summer league. Until you're playing 82 games on an NBA floor, nobody gives a shit.
I ain't gonna hold you, Dylan. I gave a shit about Cam Thomas when I seen that summer league, bro.
Well,
I said, yo,
and that's where
hold on.
and that's where the love is coming from. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a person that gets attached to players because I'm a fan of my team. I'm not a person that gets attached to summer league performances because you know that they're not as valuable. Like,
No, I was a fan. I don't know if y'all know this, but I was a fan of the Nets before Cam Thomas came
no,
in.
I know that. I know that.
But what I'm saying is that the first time I even tapped into the summer league was that season. So it was like before that, I wasn't even watching hoops until like preseason. I'm just keeping it real with you. And then once once I heard about the draft, I'm like, oh, all right, let me just see it, because I was happy about being a podcast. I wasn't necessarily excited about Cam Thomas. I didn't know who he was. I just was podcasting, and the offseason happened, and I still wanted to podcast. So the first chance that basketball happened, I was on it. And I seen immediately at that time, the Nets gave this guy, Cam Thomas, who I didn't know who he was, the green light. He was taking 20 plus shots a game in the summer league. I was like, yo, why they green lighting him like this? And then I seen him hit like a game winner in the summer league, or like off of one leg, like Dirk or some shit. I was like, yo, who is this dude? But now I'm not saying he Dirk. I'm just saying back then, that's where, me being a big fan of Cam Thomas came in. Now I'm saying that to say that I don't think he got his just due when he became a rookie. They didn't even give him minutes. Like, wow, you was the co-MVP of the summer league. Let's, you know what I'm saying, reflect that with the minutes we give you in the regular season. That did not happen. So to your point, Dylan, the summer league doesn't always translate. The summer league doesn't always translate to the regular season. That's true.
No, definitely. And the one thing though is again, you mentioned the co-MVP. Why didn't he get minutes? 2 things. One, Jalen Wilson was. Hold on. One, Jalen Wilson was summer league MVP last year, and we all know how this has played out. 2, he was on a contending team where, again, he showcased no ability in summer league to do anything else outside of scoring. Yes, you were drafted because we know you can score. Show us something else. It was the same thing with Ziaire Williams. Okay, we knew you could play make, but we need to see that you could be a floor spacer. He proved something that many analysts didn't think he had. Cam Thomas, in his career, in his 5 years in the NBA, has not proven something outside of what everybody has already known of him. And that's why I'm saying, like, it depends on certain summer league performances, right? When I'm looking at summer league, I'm looking at a guy who is doing something that they're not known to do, to showcase an ability that they weren't fully known to do. Ziaire was able to show that he could floor space, even though coming into the draft, he was known as one of the worst floor spacers. So to me, that showcased the sign of, okay, if he can now figure out a way to mesh this playmaking and this floor spacing together, okay, you could be looking at a Halliburton type of player, because he does have that level of playmaking to his game and the vision to his game and the IQ to his game, to where if he can shoot consistently from 3 at a 38% plus clip and give you 15 and 8 a game, you're looking at a guy who could be your franchise point guard, right? And I think that's the difference of how people need to analyze summer league. You're not supposed to look at a guy just based on performance. You're supposed to be looking at what they're improving on from when they were in college or from when they were overseas.
What I think is interesting.
Yeah, but that's they was asking him that. Like, they asked him, they gave him the green light. They didn't want Cam Thomas to pass the ball in that summer league. And to push back a little bit, I feel like in this last season he proved that he could be a better defensive rebounder. He got to work on his defense. I'm not trying to go around that and beat around the bush. He got to work on his defense. He got to, and to be specific, he has to. All players do. He has to close out on a 3-point contest better, way better. And that's my own critique on Cam Thomas. Close out on that 3-point contest better. And you know what I'm saying? I got you. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's all I got. That's all I was saying.
Now for Yegor, I would say two of the things, because everybody knew about his passing, at least scouting wise. But I think two of the things that were kind of inverse were his shooting. They didn't know about his shooting. His shooting looks like it's going to be okay because, you know, he looked like he had a nice stroke and everything. Pause.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is with him is what he didn't look like comfortable doing was bringing the ball up against NBA pressure. So I think
Yeah, and I see
was
that comment here too, right? I'm going to pull it up.
that was
And
the big thing.
again, you are always going to see positives and you are always going to see negatives in summer league performances. The picture of him's on the screen, right?
Yeah.
This isn't a guy at 18, 19 years old who lives in the gym just yet, right? He even said it in his draft day interview. He thinks he's going to spend more time in the gym than he is on a basketball court. This is a guy who's motivated and understands some of his weaknesses and is going to work on them, right? We've seen time and time again where Cam Thomas's attitude has been, I just want to score. And again, if that's his personality and that's what he feels he's best at, that's great. But when you have guys who are openly acknowledging some of their flaws and willing to work on them compared to guys who still are not working on them, that is what puts that's what separates players who are going to be great and reliable in this league versus guys who are going to be replaceable in this league, right?
I don't know,
Hayward's going to
Dylan.
put
I
on
think he
shots.
was working on rebounding, man. I can't. Nah, he was working on rebounding and some passing, bro.
I don't love
Jordy demanded it. Hold on. Let me ask Dylan and Gary this. Dylan and Gary, did you not see Jordy Fernandez demanding certain things from Cam Thomas? Like, you're not going to get shot attempts unless you work harder on defense. You're not going to get shot attempts unless you become a better rebounder. So, like, even if you're right, Dylan, Jordy's seen the same thing. And then I seen him pulling Cam Thomas probably early, not necessarily like, you know, he should come out the game because of foul trouble, but he pulled him out the game because Cam Thomas might have missed a defensive assignment. So I'm saying that to say to Dylan and Gary, I seen Jordy Fernandez hold his players accountable if they miss a defensive assignment or a rebound, including Cam Thomas. So I think
Not
that will
enough.
work itself out.
Not a large enough sample size.
Here's what I would say about Cam Thomas, right? Like Cam Thomas, he is what he is, right? And this thing, yes, can he put more effort in on defense? And he has. His effort has gotten better. He's still not a good, like they said, he graduated from the worst defensive player in the NBA to a very bad defensive player, right? Like, but here's what I'm saying though, right? Like I always say, guys, if you want a girl who doesn't dress half naked, go find a girl that doesn't dress half naked. If you want a girl that doesn't live in the club, don't look for your girlfriend at the club. You know what I'm saying? If you want a girl who doesn't sleep around with your friends, don't date a girl who sleeps around, right? But you can't take something that he's not and then make him that. Look for what you want. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you want a girl who dresses modestly, don't go after the girl who's half naked. Go after a girl who dresses modestly. If you don't want, you know what I'm saying? If you don't want a girl who's in the club all the time, don't look for a girl at the club. Cam Thomas is what he is, right? You can't take him now and say, I'm going to make him a Tony Allen defender and he's going to pass the ball like Yegor. It's not going to happen. That's not what you drafted. Understand what you drafted.
Yeah, no, and I just want to jump in here because I pulled the comment up. This is great, right? 2-word answer: Nikola Topic. Nikola Topic came into the league looking frail and at similar height. He was 6'6", 6'7", and was frail. Wasn't able to get by defenders very easily. He tore his ACL. He didn't play a single minute of basketball last year. He gained over 15 pounds of muscle, and in summer league, he was driving by guys left and right. Point being, these are things that can be fixed. Many players in the league who come in with smaller body frames in terms of muscle mass, who are willing to work on it and put on the muscle, are able to do things better once they gain that, right? Giannis was shooting threes his rookie year. Giannis wasn't getting by defenders left and right, averaging 25 plus. Put on muscle and became unstoppable. Same thing could happen for a guy of this nature. When you're looking at a prototype of a player at 6'9" with the vision and IQ that he has, with now the proven floor spacing ability that he has showcased in that summer league performances in terms of efficiency, this is a guy who, if he puts on muscle, can become a guy that can get by defenders. That's how these things work. So you can't say that that's not going to happen, even if he does get in the gym, when it's been proven to happen time and time again with certain players. James Harden's another example. He came into the league frail. When he got to Houston, he was he was jacked. Was getting by defenders left and right. It comes with time. It comes with experience. That's one thing that I'm not worried about with him.
Okay. Pete, you want to get in on this, Pete? Is Pete
Hi.
there?
What's going
Okay.
on? What's going on?
Can I answer this before we get Pete on this,
Go ahead.
please?
Go ahead.
We're gonna talk about Dennis Schroeder praising somebody. This is a guy who dropped the bag because he thought he was worth more and ended up being on a league minimum deal. Let's not talk about a dude who should be praising people saying somebody's worth what they're not, because Cam Thomas isn't worth a max. Let's stop this.
Did Schroeder actually say that?
Yes, I
And-
do remember him saying that in an
And
interview.
please date it.
That's a
Please
good
date
friend.
it. Was that when they were 15 and 15?
He deserved a max salary. Like, all right, that's a good friend. I appreciate you. That's a good friend. Schroeder's being a good dude there. I appreciate that.
Was that when they were 15 and 15 and both of them were averaging over 20?
I'm not familiar with the comment. I don't know.
So that's, I mean, because timing is everything, you know. And that's what I was going
I
to
have it right here, March 28th, 2024. Dennis Schroeder on Cam Thomas. This is from Michael Scotto, in quotes. That's a max player right there.
So
What
what
was the
is
record?
that?
What was their record? Do you know?
Well, that's
March-
the end of the season.
In March of last year? I don't know.
This was the very end of 2023-24 season.
I can look it up. Yeah, give me a second.
Got you. Okay.
No,
What
yeah,
was
this was
it?
the end. Yeah,
March
this
what?
was the end of the 23-24 season. Yeah.
Right.
So
Oh, okay. never
considerably.
mind.
It's when we had first traded for Schroeder with Dinwiddie.
Because they could have extended him in that offseason. And
Yeah.
Schroeder
So that was
That's
the year
what
that.
they-
Yeah, that was the
Schroeder
year
was
that we
being
were.
a hell of a guy. He was being a hell of a friend, right? Like
That's when Marks crossed Schroeder's name off of possible future GMs.
You know, like what would Schroeder do? Like what would happen if you'd see Schroeder saying, "Yo, this guy's ass. Like he doesn't deserve $1." Right? Like that's never gonna happen.
Yeah. Again, I think Breezy can even admit Cam Thomas is not a max contract player, right? We're not this far away from the Cam Thomas reality, right? We know he's not a max contract player as of right now.
Reality.
No, I never gave Cam Thomas the max contract money because of the CBA rules. You got to play 65 plus games to be eligible for
That's the only reason. That's the only reason.
No. What I'm saying is, in my soliloquy, bro, availability is huge. You do have to be available, bro. You do. Listen, Cam Thomas played great in those 25 games, but it was only 25 games. I don't think he should be getting a max contract, but I do
give that
think that
money to Keon Johnson.
No. I'm saying I do think he should have a player option in the contract, and I do think that they could work something out without breaking the bank for Cam Thomas.
All right, so here, Breezy, this is one thing with the player option. Like if they give him the 2-year with the second year player option, how does that help the Nets? It doesn't help the Nets at all.
See, I wouldn't do that. I would make it a 3-year deal, player option, and the third year has the player option. So
Yeah,
he can
that's
opt
what
out
I'm
and become a free agent in
Right.
2027.
The 2-year doesn't do anything.
I'm saying y'all helping me work out the whole scenario of the contracts. Like I told you, I listen more times than on the business side. So I listen to the other Nets fans. Like, yeah. So yeah, make it a 3-year contract and give him the player option in that. But case in point is, I just think that the Brooklyn Nets could use a makeover too. You know, we had a lot of bad run-ins with free agents with Harden, Kyrie, and KD. This opportunity gives us a chance to have a better rapport with the free agents that might want to come here in 2027. And to Dylan's point,
Cam Thomas not showcasing some forms of signs of being a problem? Is he not?
No. I think both. No, I think both of them are being stubborn. I wouldn't necessarily consider it a problem, but I do think that again, the Brooklyn Nets and Cam Thomas could get off their high horse to an extent. The Brooklyn Nets front office just had KD say fire the head coach and the GM. So I don't see the arrogance that the front office should have, even if Cam Thomas is wrong for asking for the money that he's asking for. Yeah, I think they could find a medium. And you know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is I don't 100% agree with Cam Thomas, and I definitely don't 100% agree with the front office right now on how they're handling things. And that's again to the point of what happened with KD, Kyrie, and Harden. That's still case in point, leaving a bad taste in people's mouth, you know. And they going to 2027, like you said, Dylan. They know that time coming around too, and how the Brooklyn Nets front office handle their business from then till now is going to, you know, be heavily influenced on what players want to come here in the first place. You know what I'm saying? They got to do good business before 2027 for those players that we will want here to want to play here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, okay, so let me give you examples of what would be considered good business in the NBA, right? Keon Johnson getting the contract that he got was considerably good business for role players around the league who want to be on a team, correct? Even though we all know that the contract, he didn't deserve it. We all know that it was an overpay. We all know that we didn't want him here long term. In terms of making NBA players happy and showcasing that you're willing to pay players, that's an example of it, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay,
that's one.
Trading him to Denver, a team that's going to be contending. Wouldn't we say that that's looking out for the best interest of the player, right? Because we already know that Sacramento wanted him. Yeah, we already know that Sacramento wanted him. We know that San Antonio wanted him, right? We know that Toronto was looking at him during the draft process. Wouldn't you say that we put him in the best situation possible?
Yeah.
All right.
No, they did right by Cam Johnson. I give you that. Yeah.
Same thing with Nick Claxton's contract.
Let me cut it 1 second, Dylan. I was gonna say, give me 1 second. Breezy, the pushback I'm going to give you now about the good business thing, the problem with that is how many teams in the NBA do value him? Is it really good business if no one else values him?
That was where I was going to get, right? If no team's offering him any form of contract, if no team's offering him any form of contract and there's no team in the league that has any form of cap space, what makes us as fans think that it's good business to overpay for that when there's no other offer that can be topped?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Can I answer that question? I think I got a decent answer for this. It just depends on if you value him. Sean Marks doesn't value him, so
exactly, and they've proven that. Yeah,
there's no point in giving him any salary or any contract. He's only going to help you win more games, and you don't want that. You want to play.
But why not value your best draft pick? Who he drafted better than Cam Thomas? Sean Marks himself. What did he do in his draft career that's better than Cam Thomas?
Let me finish my other half of the answer there. If you do value him, like I value him a lot more. I value Mikal Bridges. Then you're going to want to give him a contract that's not an overpay. Yes, there's no one really competing against you, but I want to keep you here. And I'm not going to keep you here at $14 million. So let's come to a reasonable number that we can agree on where I can keep you here. You're not getting 40. That's just as ridiculous as my 14. You know damn well you're not getting 40. How about 20? Let's meet somewhere in the middle. $20 million is not a lot in today's market. You look at the cap, $20 million is not a lot. I think if I said to Cam Thomas, I want you here for the rebuild, and I want you here as we start to compete in 2027 and beyond. So 4 years, $80 million. That's a real offer. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but if they came to that agreement today, I would be perfectly happy with that.
But the problem is that they don't believe that. They don't believe.
I know they don't. So then don't get.
They don't believe that he's a.
Don't give him anything. Don't make him any offer. If you don't want him here, don't bring him back. Say, I screwed up the pick. Cam Thomas is not an NBA caliber player. We don't want him, and be done with him. Right? Like just admit you got the pick wrong. He's no good. You don't want him, and just move on from him. I think it's maybe trade him if you can, but like, what's the point? Just get rid of him. You don't think he's any good.
I don't understand the point.
I don't understand the hand that they're playing here.
The only other thing I would say is we cannot keep comparing Kuminga's situation to his, even though it's about the money that's not there, but also Kuminga is in a much better position if he signs a 1 year as opposed to Thomas, because I think that Kuminga has been showcased enough around the league that people know what his potential might be. And I think even if Steve Kerr buries him on the bench and doesn't play him at all, I think by the next year he'll eventually get some good money. But I'm not sure if Cam Thomas can survive that same outing. If they bury Cam Thomas, if they sign him to the $8 million and they bury him, I'm not sure if he could ever get that opportunity again. Let me get big.
Because I gotta wrap this up. Me and Dylan have to drop off. Let me give Appreciate you, LBL. Let me give Pete and Breezy, our two guests, guys, do a shout out for your channels and where we can find you, and give us your final thoughts on this Cam Thomas and the roster situation.
You want me to go first, Breezy?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, no doubt. On the roster, what do you mean? The roster right now or Dylan's roster?
Well, just close this out. Give us your thought.
Okay. Good. Okay, I got you.
How he fits in on the roster. Just give us your final thoughts on Cam Thomas moving forward. And then let us know, everyone. Let us know where we can find you.
Gotcha. I'll be quick. Highsmith, a trade. Really like it. Maybe you get another second rounder in the season. We'll see what happens with that. CT, I have no idea what's going on. I think the Nets are personally bluffing. I think you get closer to the deadline, and I think he gets an updated offer, an upped offer. It just makes so much sense to have him come back on a longer deal, like on a 2-year deal, because you want to trade him. You don't want to lose an asset for nothing. You guys can find me at NetFans, on Twitter and YouTube. I put out a podcast every week, and thanks for having me on, Gary.
I appreciate you, Pete. Breezy, close us out.
I agree with Gary. I think they could 20 mil 4 years. I think everybody leaves happy. They could shake hands, leave happy. You know what I'm saying? And it was more that I wanted to say, but I just forgot. Shout to Dylan, shout to Gary, shout to Pete, shout to LBL. This was a great show. Y'all can find me at Big Fan Breezy on YouTube or X. And yeah, man, that's fans is the best fans, man. I'm looking forward to the next one.
All right, appreciate you guys. Great show, Pete, Breezy, LBL. Thanks for jumping on, of course. August 16th, 2025, from Texas to the world. Thank y'all, and God bless.